Hi everyone, it's Ida here. This is going to be a video, the first of a series I plan to produce on what I eat. I am in my kitchen. I'll probably be here for many future videos. Also wanted to let you know that I am using this teleprompter feature on my phone, so I might be tapping it every once in a while to stop or start up again. And here we go. So I'm gonna do a series on what I eat, and this is my most requested topic. Friends and family are always asking me, how did I lose weight? I'm looking healthy. What do I eat? What is my diet? So before I start, I'm not touting that I have a solution or that I'm an expert. I am, however, the expert of my life. I am perpetually researching and learning. So let's jump in. First, my motivation. I am deeply motivated by my cancer diagnosis and the subsequent GI issues. What's your motivation to try to lose weight or maintain or be healthier? Originally, my appearance wasn't a factor, but I do appreciate the results. I focus on food, but there are many aspects to my journey. Wellness journey, sleep, improving sleep, exercise, stress management, relationships, and so on. During this time, over the past several years, I lost 30 to 40 pounds, depending on when you start counting. This is a picture of me, I'm trying on my editing here, of visiting the Clinton Library in Arkansas. A little heavier. The second picture is from me this past year getting ready to go to a party. Second point, there are no easy remedies. For many of us, the changes that are needed are substantial, and it is a massive shift in understanding how to live and eat. In my opinion, we are all too focused on trends and diets, easy fixes, or programs that prepare all the food for you. I love it when people say, do the Mediterranean diet. But do we really understand what this entails? It is so much more complicated and nuanced. It's the portions, the carbs, the types of carbs, the type and quality of ingredients, and much more. The reality is we have a lot working against us as individuals and society trying to make healthy lifestyle choices. So please don't beat yourself up about how you struggle to eat well. For most of us, work-life balance is skewed and not in a good way. Time is a massive factor. Time to rest, sleep, food preparation, and exercise. How are we supposed to do it all? It's a tough question. Sadly, the industrial food complex, including the government agencies that oversee numerous elements of the process, have it wrong. This challenge includes processed and fast foods and the additives and hormones in those foods. We overly rely on processed foods. Even things like low fat or low calorie are often problematic. They can rely on artificial ingredients and replace the fat, for example, with things that aren't natural. And your body doesn't know what to do with artificial ingredients. It holds on to them, at least according to some people that I've talked to. People turn to food for comfort. I still do this. I have a sweet tooth, excuse me. We are all overwhelmed with artificial treats. We have sugar addiction in this country. An additional challenge is access to quality and varied produce, and proteins, and so on, even in affluent areas. Sean and I go to 3 or 4 different markets and even have foods delivered, and maybe go to farmers markets. It's no wonder that many of us struggle achieving balance and struggle with the physical and mental health maladies, because they're all tied back to our current food ways. Third point, be kind, be patient with yourself. It is never too late to make changes, and you don't have to make them all overnight. My changes occurred over 4.5 years and are still ongoing, and I have many things I have yet to tackle. Depending on your situation, you can pick a category or two and try to work with that for a while until you're comfortable. Some folks are also learning specific diets. Like example, if you've got Crohn's disease, that adds to the learning curve. Fourth point, a balanced, nutrient-dense diet strengthens immunity. This is really important. After my first remission, I became focused and fascinated with boosting my immunity in various ways. This is when I found and read Dr. Furman's book, Super Immunity. It is a well-known book, and he's a well-known medical doctor and lecturer and author. He's, I think, on PBS frequently. I started to explore the nutritional value of my food choices. Later, I learned that my oncologist believes that ovarian cancer is an autoimmune disease. Says a lot. Skewed eating habits can influence or exacerbate ailments and diseases. And for many of us, it's in ways we could never imagine. There's a plethora of information out there on this topic. Just research gluten intolerance, for example. It's a massive amount of issues tied to that, quite a culprit. Fifth, food is not the only solution. There are many aspects to our lifestyle that have to change. I have created an evening routine to help de-stress and improve my sleep. Physical movement is important, aka exercise. As a cancer patient in the COVID world, I don't know that I'll ever return to a gym. I always loved walking and riding my bike. Protecting your emotional self, more breaks, managing stress more. Another point is seeing and spending more time with nature. I love state and national parks. And this list can go on. Okay, so a little bit about my evolution so you understand how I got to where I am today. I thought I was pretty healthy looking back 5 years ago, but I realize now I was a bit chunky, and although I wasn't into fast food, my portions were larger, ratios were skewed, much more carb heavy. I was using more processed foods than I even realized, and again, if it's low fat, I thought it has to be okay. I loved arroz con pollo, or chicken and rice with black beans, fried plantains, plátanos, and some veggies or salad. That's a pretty carb-heavy meal. This meal plate today would look a lot different than it did 5 years ago. So I've evolved, and we'll cover some of these upcoming topics in future installments. Okay, so we did a transition mostly to organic foods. We've limited processed foods. We eat clean proteins, which includes nuts and seeds, and includes fresh fruit, lots and lots and lots and lots of fresh fruits and veggies. Heavier veggies, a lot less fruit. Then I was diagnosed with gastroparesis, which means slow stomach. This was a challenge. It was like a Crohn's type diet. It brought some relief, but it was a scary way to live. I was starting to juice a lot and mush everything. Then I met with a naturopath. I went to a holistic wellness retreat. I learned I was super stressed, had digestion inadequacies, and I was highly gluten intolerant, and was told to treat it like celiac, no cross contact. At this point, I had experimented with it, but didn't realize how strict I had to be to kind of bring myself relief. I became strictly gluten-free, and I remembered reading that food sensitivities could slow digestion and even cause GP, the gastroparesis. So, of course, gastroparesis seemed to disappear once I started eating differently. Many experts also believe keto, the keto diet, has therapeutic benefit for many ailments. I forget some. Others are, I want to say epilepsy. That's the one. That's a big one. And it's actually pretty well documented. But there's heavy research out there going on. And I'm going to show you a couple books about the connection with cancer patients. So I was told to seriously consider it. So I was ready to do it. And frankly, the stages that I had just went through in my own private life, in terms of eating cleaner, reducing carbs, and then eliminating gluten, are actually the steps that made it a lot easier to embrace keto. With keto, I lost weight. I focused on the right proteins and less of some. Met with a specialist nutritionist, had heavy veggies, learned about proteins, reducing carbs. I treat sugar, including agave maple syrup, as if I had an allergy to it. I almost never have actual sugar or maple syrup or any of those ingredients. I save it for when I'm going out, and I kind of don't worry about those extra ingredients because I don't eat out that often. In particular, have concerns about the specific dishes that I'm ordering. I know they're not going to be sugar heavy. I'm not getting sweet and sour chicken. Earlier this year, I learned that I had developed additional sensitivities, which I have a theory that I'm prone to autoimmune issues anyway, and then chemo's triggering things left and right, and it's hard on the GI tract. So because of my sensitivities, now I do no eggs and no dairy and mushrooms in addition to the gluten. And I've carefully reintroduced grains and starches, and I'm now part-time vegan. And I've done this very carefully. I try not to have too many big portions. I also do what's called low FODMAP, which is a type of diet that has to do with the various even healthy foods you eat in terms of fruits and vegetables. When my stomach's very upset, I'm very stressed, I'm learning that going low FODMAP and still being somewhat cautious now is very beneficial. And it has to do with all the various sugars in those foods and how your digestion breaks it down. It's a common strategy for IBS and other intestinal disorders that people might have. I'm grateful because it is a great strategy in times of stress and managing all my other symptoms. So I'm trying to refresh my memory. There's tons of apps for all of these strategies. I'm on another phase right now. I may need to crowdsource for some help. I'm not ready to discuss it yet, but it's yet more GI issues. So big picture thoughts. This is a life journey to healthful living. Think about where you are. It's totally hard to flip your habits, to learn cooking techniques, switch your pantry and fridge. You need to make changes at a pace you can handle, not just physical and economic, but it does take emotional, psychological, intellectual bandwidth to absorb so much information. Pace yourself. Recalibrate your expectations. This is a big one that I want to stress because this has been a struggle with kids, to be honest. Recalibrate expectations about foods and meals. This is an emotional piece. It's an expectations piece. We're bombarded by media. Every day shouldn't be about what's fun and easy to make and treating yourself at every single meal with the most sinful thing or the multi-course type of presentation. It should be easy to make. It should be natural. It should be healthy. What I like about a good quality keto recipe, one is that they actually are not super fat heavy. It is emphasized, but it is also, most importantly, you've got a heavy emphasis on vegetables and the healthy fats. So many meals with this approach should be able to be made quickly and easily and still have some interesting dishes. Think about how our ancestors ate years ago, 100, 200, 500 years ago. What's your ethnic background? Did everyone around the world eat pizza, fast food pizza? Ideally, you and your partner and your family are on board. I find this to be critically important. Unified home is easy. Makes it so much easier. You share in the shopping habits, you remove temptations, you don't have to change everything 180 degrees overnight, but this is healthy living for the entire family. And I'm not saying everyone has to follow the same thing exactly. At home, I eat a little differently than Sean, and certainly the girls eat a lot differently than us, but we've removed a lot of things from the household. House is nearly gluten-free. I'm too worried about cross-contamination, so it's easy. That's an easy one. And if they bring any gluten from outside, we put it on paper plates. It's like a kosher home, sort of kosher home. Don't think about what you can't eat. That's a big one. Instead, think about what you can. I find it liberating on what I can eat and keep it positive. Don't focus on the loss. Consider tools designed for cancer patients. I know this is weird, but you kind of want to be avoiding what you know, what I'm going through. You want to avoid what to be in my shoes. And this would be preventative, right? So a lot of the advice for diets and meals and, you know, keto for cancer, or the metabolic approach, which is really, this is a lifestyle book. This is not about cancer. This is about your whole life and clean living. It's, you know, deep nutrition and non-toxic ways to live. And so my point is that it applies to other ailments. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is not just about cancer. If you've got fibromyalgia, if you've got Crohn's, if you've got ADHD, a lot of this could help. I just urge you to look it up. So consider seeing a nutritionist or a dietitian that will work with you in your goals. For me, the big thing to stress there is that they're comfortable with these approaches, especially one that's focused on nutrient-dense eating. If they're telling you, you know, for whatever ailment, you know, use plain pasta or plain toast, think twice. More and more nutritionists and doctors are evolving this way. In fact, Julia's doctor, pediatrician, told her to stay away or greatly limit white rice, white toast, that sort of stuff. Really think nutrient dense. Consider an app to track your eating habits. For me, I don't do it every day anymore, but I did it pretty religiously for a while. It was a phenomenal learning tool. It taught me kind of the intuition and instinct I needed to do to manage my portions, for one, and to think about my balance during the day. You don't really have to count calories. There's different tools. Keto's nice that way. It's more about the carbs, fats, and just remember to have fun. Really, this can be fun. After this, I will provide some starter links, books that I've used in my journey. And I hope this introduction is helpful. I do plan to follow up and explore themes of portions, perhaps, keto, cleaner eating, what's in my pantry and fridge, and more. So thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get automatic notices when I post something new. Hugs to everyone.